All right, ladies and gentlemen, the home stretch of maximum occupancy in New Zealand 2023. You can see I've sort of spread the seats out more because I think I ate too much over lunch, but that was a magnificent lunch downstairs. And who went to the trolley section? Sorry, not the lolly section. Anyone? It was pretty good anyway. All right, so last three sessions to go. So the first session, I think, is quite important about the state of the corporate travel market in New Zealand. I mean, where is it? What's it doing, where it's gone? And then after that, we've got Maro, who's going to talk about photography and the importance of generating revenue. And then we've thrown in a session where you can ask anything of the room. There's a lot of people in here who've got sort of issues or problems or questions they want to ask, and we'll go that and we'll close the conference at about 3 o'clock. So I'd like to invite two distinguished guests up on stage to talk about corporate travel. Please welcome Michael Anderson, Director of Hotel Operations for Skycity, Auckland, and Kristy Edwards, Director of Revenue Optimisation for BW Hotels. Please welcome them up on stage. Thank you. Okay. Hello? All right. Mic's working, or? Yep.
I think so.
Okay, fantastic. Let's talk about a little bit about corporate travel. Sorry, I got it all written out. Where has it gone? I mean, the topic suggests that the corporate travel market is yet to recover, but what are you seeing? Is it there, it's not there? Or, I mean, I know, Kristy, you operate in both Australia and New Zealand. Michael, you're predominantly New Zealand. Well, what's happening out there? Ladies first.
Okay, so I think Australia and New Zealand are very different markets, but New Zealand's following a similar trend to Australia, just a little bit behind because of the longer restrictions that were in place. In terms of the corporate market over here, we're actually seeing quite strong growth on 2019 and on last year with our properties. So that's really pleasing results. Both through the GDS, but also direct contracts with the properties. So they've, throughout COVID, as has been mentioned on previous panels, a lot of the business did go direct to the hotels rather than through the usual channels. And obviously the TMCs really had to reduce staff through that process. There was less travel managers to be able to renew the contracts. And the properties have been able to maintain some of that direct, but then also pushing it through the GDS channels is picking up.
Yeah. Michael?
Yeah, look, I'd agree. We're just having a little bit of a chat about that before we came up on stage, and I think what we're seeing is that corporate's still there, but the channels have changed. So, traditionally in hotels we talk about corporate as a corporate contracted rate. If you're in the lobby, Sunday through Thursday, generally you're seeing corporate travellers, they just might not be booking through a corporate contracted rate, through the OTAs, through direct. So
why is that, do you think?
Look, I think to Kristy's point about the TMCs particularly, we've seen a lot of programs divert back to best available rates and things like that because the resources aren't there to contract specifically.
Yeah. I mean, do you think also, when I was speaking to Adrian Turner, I don't know if he's here, from Quest Apartment Group, I mean, he said, they're just having record months. Is it their style of accommodation is more apartments, more regional? Do you think that in New Zealand is probably more appealing because the corporates are wanting longer stays, or?
Yeah, look, I think it depends on the type of corporate business you're getting as well. I think you alluded to in the notes that sales are still travelling, FMCG is still travelling. I think those people that are in those sorts of industries are definitely travelling, staying for a little bit longer. Mel made a really good point earlier today that it takes them a lot longer to go and do all its appointments in a week now. And being in Australia early in the year, I had exactly the same situation, I guess, with not enough people being in the office to see over a small amount of time.
Yeah. Kristy?
Yeah, definitely. We're seeing a large growth in length of stay. Compared to last year and 2019 as well. So we're still using 2019 as sort of your normal benchmark year. And yeah, it's definitely growing.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think the corporates are looking for now in terms of what do they want out of a hotel room or a stay? I mean, is it, there's a cost, there's a, service sustainability, bigger rooms, or what are they sort of looking for most? What are you finding?
I honestly
above.
think it's much the same as it was before. You know, they want that safe environment, comfortable service, clean, secure. What's becoming more prevalent through the RFP process is inclusions in terms of ESG components.
Okay. Yeah, Michael?
Yeah, look, I think exactly the same. I think customer service still trumps everything, you know, regardless of the age and the standard of your product. That seems to be the thing that is at the forefront of choice these days.
Yeah. Can you share any trends that you're seeing with regards to travellers themselves? Are they wanting other things like, you know, Teams fatigue, Microsoft Teams, or, you know, focus on ROI versus travelling, F2F meetings? People are probably being more wise around costs and so on and so on. Or funky alternatives in accommodation. They want something different. You know, there's all these new lifestyle brands popping up. What are you seeing out there, what they're wanting?
Yeah, look, absolutely. I use a friend of mine as an example. He works for one of the big banks and had the opportunity to work remotely during COVID. He's moved down to Queenstown and can sustain the job from Queenstown, but has to travel to Auckland every other month, but at his own cost. So that's the benefit of him, I guess, being able to live and work from Queenstown. He carries that corporate cost, and I think there's a bit of that's been happening as well. So there's a, you know, he doesn't want to spend as much as maybe a corporate company would have, you know, spent to stay.
Yeah. Okay. Kristy?
Yeah, I think it depends on the type of corporate. I mean, I think a lot of us are sick of dealing with teams, but it has also made our lives a lot easier. And it's been able to keep us more connected with our wider spread teams, and I'm sure that flows on to a lot of the corporate travellers as well. There is still that need to get the teams together for face-to-face things, but again, in terms of your corporate traveller booking, there is a lot more focus on ROI and making sure that the entire trip is justified. It's not just the accommodation cost, it's the airfare and everything built into that. And that's contributing to the longer stay, so making that trip actually worthwhile and maybe doing less trips but for longer.
Yeah, there's a lot of independence in the room today about, you know, you're both experts in putting RFPs together. What are some of the things that you feel are must-haves in the RFP that they should be including? Because, I mean, that's where it all starts as well. What are some of the must-haves? And I mean, Michael, you do a lot of RFPs or still? Or
No, not so much anymore, but
but
that was sort of the last 15 years of my life, very much so.
Yeah.
Look, I think there's definitely a move to more information around sustainability and health and safety and security practices and things like that. There's still a really large degree of what you could call, I guess, greenwashing in the industry, where it's a little bit of, you know, it's a box tick as opposed to actually, and being used as a marketing tool as opposed to actually being a genuine thing that companies are doing, and big corporates are saying this is a must-have. I think, you know, it ticks a bit of their policy, and then, you know, they sort of seem to be doing the right thing. So I think there's a lot of work to do in that space still.
Yeah, Kristy?
Yeah, I think in the RFPs that have been coming out probably more in the last year and the ones that are coming here, so in terms of that greenwashing, yes, it was starting to build in that space, but really they're getting more specific now. So it's not just ticking that one, yes, we're a green hotel. It's actually detailing what your ESG practices are and what levels that you have in place.
Yeah, I mean, what are they sort of wanting in that ESG? I mean, what, a green index, or sort of, you know, they want a paragraph, not just a policy, not just a paragraph, or, you know, what do they want exactly with that whole sustainability? And is it really important? Is it led by the company themselves because they want to be seen as, you know, practicing sustainability, or is it something that the corporate traveller wants?
I think for the larger corporate, the global companies and a lot of the national ones as well, they need to be seen to have a comprehensive ESG plan in place, and that does include where their workers are travelling to and all their suppliers as well. So for them to meet their targets, and some of these are being imposed by various governments and things, they do need to have those details. So being able to have your own ESG plan so that you can refer to it. They do tend to ask specific questions as in terms of what's important to them as a company, but you need to have those answers and be able to provide your actual plan as a backup if further details required.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. Let's talk a little bit about rates and dynamic rates. I mean, Michael and Kristy, do you sort of see that sort of more? It's before it was RFP, here's a set rate. That's what's happening there with all these API feeds, dynamic rates and all that sort of stuff. What's happening out there?
Yeah, look, there's still very much in place, I think, for static rates, just more in the sense that the big corporates are still asking for those in a lot of instances. There's definitely a transition across to more and more dynamic rates, but look, I've been saying that probably for the last 5 to 6 years, and it just moves very, very slowly. People, and that probably comes more from a procurement space and a finance team space where they want to put a real number to what they expect the travel expenditure to be. But I think in terms of the value that you would get as a consumer or a customer now from a dynamic space, you're in a much stronger position with a dynamic rate, particularly at the moment.
Yeah, okay. Kristy?
Yeah, I think you need to definitely play in both space. So since COVID, as the team sees we're building back up their employment, there was a large shift to the more dynamic consortia rates. So they didn't have the time and the manpower to invest in the specific individual fixed RFPs. Now we're starting to move back towards, yes, they want the fixed rates, but also for independent hotels, it's important if you are asked to submit a fixed rate, make sure you're backing that up with a dynamic offering as well. So if your dynamic rates are slipping below that fixed rate, they do have that option for the lower path. So then you're not running into as many parity issues through online booking tools with OTAs and various things.
Talk a little bit about loyalty programs. I mean, are they still important in corporate travel, or what's the view of the big companies on that, the loyalty programs? Do they still want them and all that sort of stuff? Yeah,
I think it's quite interesting. It really depends on the traveller, I guess, and if the frequency of your travel. The OTAs have a great tool now where the loyalty programs that they offer, it's multi-property, so you don't have to be restricted to one hotel or one one program.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think as a global chain, we obviously have a strong loyalty program, and that is we do have a B2B loyalty program as well. So for the actual travel booker of the company, they can earn points on the staff stay, as well as the actual staff themselves earning points and rewards along the way. So we do have a lot of success with that, and a lot of very, very regular corporate travellers that can stay across our portfolio globally.
Michael, you want to say something or no? Oh, no. You're just there. All right. So just some advice, just finishing up. I mean, just as I said, for the smaller operators, if they really want to sort of get into that corporate travel market, what are some of the things they should be doing? What are the key channels, or what should they be doing?
Look, I think it's understanding, obviously, who your guests are, really. There's a lot of conversion to be had from a lot of the OTA guests. Also understanding, the market in your local corporate footprint and things like that as well, and recognising those regular guests, because we always find that procurement is the tip of the iceberg in terms of signing that program up, but it's all the word of mouth and the recognition from travellers that are currently staying with you that are going to talk about their experience. You deal with procurement maybe 4 times a year from a contract and a quarterly review perspective, so it's actually the travellers that are going to keep coming back.
Kristy?
Yeah, it's definitely understanding who your customers are and what opportunities you have to get more corporate clients staying with you in that corporate space, but obviously with any guest.
Yeah.
And making sure you are on the channels where you can get that business. So being on GDS in the space, making sure your rates are in line so that you are open to receiving all that business.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. GDS is a must as well. So do you have any questions from the audience at all on corporate travel? No? All right. Please thank our panel. Thank you very much. Thank you.